From the first tip to the final buzzer, their life was about to change forever. Though they didn't know it at the time, they were about to embark on a dusty journey that would start in the West Texas town of El Paso. The squeaking of shoes, the sweat dripping down, and huffing and puffing, they looked up, and there he was, grunting and growling away, the now legendary Don Haskins, or simply known as the Bear. A man who got his start coaching girls basketball was now leading a Division I program. This man saw no color. All he wanted were boys willing to put in the work. This minor team consisted of 7 black players, 4 white, 1 Hispanic, all coming from different walks of life, every single one wanting a chance to play the game of basketball. We all seem to think of a black player on a basketball team as nothing new. This was the 60s, and you might be able to get away with playing one or so colored player. Now don't you dare think you can start one in the South. I mean, come on. The civil rights movement made everything better. Segregation instantly ended because it was the law, right? On the banks of the Rio Grande, the session started with an impressive win streak, finding their way to a national ranking and a 23-1 record. The Miners were headed to the NCAA tournament. They continued to win by knocking off Cincinnati, number 4 Kansas, and Utah, finding themselves going up against Adolph Rupp's Kentucky Wildcats for the national title. This was it. The little school playing black players in the Southwest had reached the top. The message at the time was there was no way Texas Western was going to compete against national power Kentucky and their all-white basketball team. It was at that moment that college athletics and sports as we know it would change forever. Don Haskins made the decision that he would only be using his 7 black players. Having 5 black starters was a first in NCAA history. Now later on, he always stood by that he was simply playing his best players. Rupp, on the other hand, let it be known that he could not lose to an all-black starting lineup. Now, the Bear didn't like that, and rumor has it he told his big center, Big Daddy D, David Ladden, to slam it down the first chance he got. On the second possession, he did just that, posterizing Pat Riley, and the Miners were creating history in Maryland. There are many takes from that game. My favorite was Bobby Joe Hill with his back-to-back steals, really solidifying the game. The Miners would control the game throughout and find their way into a victory of 72-65. The Miners were champions, and thousands of El Pasoans welcomed them back to the Sun City. As legends they have become, not for being good basketball players, or a white coach who didn't care if a player was black or white. They're legends because they represent the sacrifice before and after of all those who have been oppressed. To this day, Texas Western, now known as the University of Texas at El Paso, UTEP, is still the only Division I men's basketball champions in the state of Texas. Don Haskins went on to become one of the all-time winningest coaches and a Hall of Famer. The movie Glory Road depicts the epic journey the Miners took that in what some call one of the most important games ever played. Just 3 years later, in 1969, Kentucky finally recruited their first African-American player, Tom Paine. Now, it may be over 50 years later, but the message still holds true. You can make a difference if you choose to. It's not easy, road isn't always full of glory at first, but the outcome will be golden. Remember, without guts, there is no glory. Go Miners.